Greetings, punks, goths, metalheads, herberts, herbetters, Martians and subterranean folk. How you all doing? My name's John and this is the Health Anarchist channel. Well, today the weather's atrocious. I was hoping to get out, but it's just been raining so much lately. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. So today is going to be an indoor video, and I thought I'd talk about being alternative today, because some people might not know quite what that means when people say someone's alternative. So I'm going to talk a bit about that today. Now, I will say that this is my take on being alternative, because with most alternative people, whatever subculture you are, your experience is going to be unique to you, even though we all have some common ground and ethics. So let's get into it. So first of all, I'd like to say that being alternative, it's a way of being. It's mainly based around the music first. So alternative is also about being different from the norm, alternative to the norm. And being alternative, it's mainly based around being one of the subcultures such as punk, goth, metal, rock, ska, skinhead, psychobilly, rockabilly, and there's many more subclasses, but you know, I want to narrow it down a bit. Oh, and also hippies. And basically, the way I look at it, the further a subculture is away from the norm, as in the music is further away from what's deemed as normal, and maybe how the people dress is further away from what would be classed as norm and normal stuff, then the more alternative it is. Now, I say that, I must point out that there's people into the subcultures that are really into the music that might identify as goth or punk, but they don't dress like that. But you know, they're still classed as being a punk or a goth, even though they don't dress like that. So that's an important point to make. And also, there's people who aren't alternative who listen to some alternative bands, you know, and that's okay too. So it's also about a way of thinking too. And if we go back, I was into punk for most of my life. I like goth as well, but it was sort of more underneath, and I was married to a goth for a long time. But it's only in sort of more recent years that, you know, I just identify as goth more these days. It's just more what I'm interested in, even though I've always loved my punk stuff. Anyway, going back to being a teenager and a way of thinking now, I was getting into a lot of these sort of punk bands, and they were very like anarchist views and values, and I was reading all this stuff in the lyrics, and I was reading books as well about anarchy and stuff, and it kind of got me into different ways of thinking, you know, there's other ways than the norm and what's classed as a narrative that most people follow. You know, you don't have to follow that. You can be different and you can think in different ways. And it got me thinking differently, and you know, I got into the music more, and I wanted to express myself differently than the norm in the way I dressed and, you know, the way I presented myself to the world. And on that point of being different, it's okay to be different. You don't have to be like everybody else, you know. If you're unique, then that's a gift. Another point that I'd like to make is most alternative people are really accepting, you know, of other people, because we've been on the sharp end of negativity of other people, some of us for many years. So we're usually quite kind and accepting to other people that are different, and that's usually goes along with when you're meeting others of your subculture and being accepted. Now, saying that, when you first get into a subculture, whether it's punk, goth or metal, there are a few idiots, as there is in life in general, but most people are very accepting and glad to add you to their ranks. Another point about being alternative is usually the music that you love will be very different from what's the mainstream narrative of enjoyable good music. So if I take the example of goth, now some people in the mainstream might think it's quite dark and quite morbid, but for you, you love that kind of stuff and it resonates with you, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's not what's deemed as mainstream music by most people, alternative to the norm. Or it might be, death metal that you listen to and it's quite gruesome lyrics and it resonates with you, but in the mainstream some people might find that absolutely awful, but to you it's great. Again, it's alternative to the mainstream. So another point I'd like to cover is, can alternative people get along with non-alternative people? Well, at the end of the day, we are people. We're just into different things. We have different interests and different likes, but we've all got families, most of them who are non-alternative. And, we work with non-alternative colleagues most of the time, or, we go to college or university where there's lots of non-alternative people. So the answer is, yeah, of course we can get on with non-alternative people. But on that, I would like to say that the more accepting and the more broad-minded non-alternative people are, then it's usually easier to get on with those type of non-alternative people. And if we have something in common straight away, like for me it's outdoors walking, then straight away we've got things in common. Or you might have a love of horror movies, then yeah, that's something else we can get along with. But saying that, there may be a lot of things that are sort of more mainstream, like football or watching the soaps and reality TV, that some alternative people might not be interested in. So obviously we'd have to find a more common ground of something that we are interested in. Saying that, there are alternative people who do like sports and who do like watching the soaps and reality TV, but speaking from my personal perspective, and quite a lot of alternative people I know, there's a fair amount of us who aren't interested in things like that. So another big part of being alternative is the subcultures. Now I've been talking about punk, goth, metal, and there's many more, and a big part of it is finding and mixing with your tribe. Now you don't have to, but for me it's been a big part of my life, and especially when you first get into it. I was into punk before I was into goth, so it was meeting my tribe and the joy of finding your tribe for the first time, especially when you've been listening to all this music and reading about it on your own. And when you go out there and you find that there's others that are into exactly the same sort of music as you, the same kind of ethics, and have the same type of interests, and I can't describe the joy and happiness that means. And that's why being part of the tribe is a big thing. It's not for everybody, but for a lot of people it is a big thing. And getting to hang out with your tribe, and you learn about new bands, you learn about gigs, places to go out, and you also learn about the other things like where's the best place to buy alternative clothes or music, and even how to DIY things, like people show you how to put studs on your jackets, or how to make DIY band patches out of stencils and things like that. So and basically it's just a friendship of other people into the subculture that understand you without being judged, and the acceptance, and that's just such a special thing. And getting into the subculture, most people that you meet within that subculture will be pretty kind and accepting. And if you're in a subculture and there's new people coming in, then try and be kind and have patience and be accepting, because you've got to remember you was in their shoes one day, and it's always better to be kind, especially with some of a lot of the negativity that we get from the outside world. Another point I'd like to say is, within each subculture there's a kind of set of loose ethics. They're not written rules, but it's kind of things like within punk it'd be like reject authority, reject the government, and that kind of thing. Another one of the ethics within the subcultures is there's a lot of acceptance, because a lot of us in the subcultures, we've received negativity for being different and being the way we are. So we have a lot of acceptance for being different, and that's kind of one of the other ethics that is in a lot of subcultures. Another one of the ethics that I think runs through probably most of the subcultures is being creative and DIY, and we kind of have this ethic, and this is common to most of the subcultures. It's really cool to be creative and, you know, create your own clothes, you know, and make stuff, and that is quite a strong ethic, I find, within the subcultures, and it's something that's encouraged, and it's something that other people will help other people with and show them how to do stuff. Because in the early days, a lot of our stuff we'd have to make ourselves, you know, and there'd be lots of new people coming to the scenes, and you'd be showing new people how to make stuff and do things, and they'd be showing you. So there is lots of other sort of ethics, but I'm not gonna, you know, do a big video on ethics here. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this video today. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. Keep yourself very safe. Until the next video, don't forget, be different, stay weird, and stay free. Bye.